Have you ever felt like you carry something inside you that no one else can see? Like your soul is marked by a secret that even you don't fully understand? What if I told you that this is no coincidence, that there is a hidden and powerful force acting silently within you, and that Edgar Cayce, the greatest prophet of the 20th century, had already predicted it? Scorpio is not just a sign, it's a cosmic seal, a portal between worlds. While traditional astrology tries to fit this sign into common patterns, the truth is that Scorpio energy defies the laws of the zodiac, breaks spiritual boundaries, and carries within it ancestral codes that few have the courage to access. According to Cayce, Scorpio vibrates at such an intense spiritual frequency that only the truly initiated can understand its calling. This energy cannot be explained only with personality. It manifests itself in the form of premonitions, radical transformations, painful rebirths, and an almost supernatural ability to pass through shadows. Scorpio is the sign of symbolic death, but also of divine regeneration. This is why so many Scorpios feel like they don't fully belong in this world, and they're not wrong. Today, we reveal what has been kept silent for decades, the forbidden secret about Scorpio that few dared to touch, a spiritual explanation that links astrology, destiny, and occult mission. But before you continue, comment below if you've ever felt like your pain hides a purpose, if you have ever dreamed of something that seemed more real than waking life. Because what you're about to hear isn't meant for everyone, only for those who carry this seal. If you are here, it is not by chance. Scorpio energy doesn't call just anyone. It selects, attracts, reveals. And understanding this content can be the beginning of a profound change in the way you see your own existence. So, before we go deeper into this secret, revealed by Edgar Cayce, comment below, "I feel this energy," or "Scorpio chose me." This simple phrase in the comments isn't just an interaction. It's a signal to the universe that you're ready to remember who you really are. This video was created for those who feel that life has always been a spiritual testing ground, for those who sense truth that still have no name, for those who carry heavy silences that cannot be explained logically. With every word you hear here, more pieces will fall into place, and what seemed confusing will start to make sense. So, if this content has already started to touch something inside you, leave a like now. This helps YouTube understand that this message needs to reach more people who also carry this energy. And subscribe to the channel, because what will be revealed in the next few minutes and in the next videos is part of a connected spiritual series. None of this is isolated. None of this is common. You are entering a space where the mystic meets destiny, and only those who feel remain. Now take a deep breath, because Edgar Cayce left clues, and they are about to be revealed. Have you ever felt like you carry a weight that no one understands? That your pain is too deep to be just emotional? As if there was something hidden behind your own existence, something that others don't see but that you feel vibrating in the quietest layers of your soul? It's not just suffering. It's as if life has been preparing you for something bigger since forever. As if each fall, each loss, each forced silence were part of a process that has no common explanation. And maybe it doesn't, because the truth is that Scorpio didn't come into the world to have an ordinary life. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, claimed that certain people are born with spiritual codes that transcend what traditional astrology can explain. And Scorpio is the archetype that concentrates the largest number of these hidden codes. Therefore, anyone born under this vibration feels as if they are always changing. There is a silent and uncontrollable force, an internal call, a constant impulse to be reborn from one's own ashes. No matter how many times life tries to turn you off, something inside you insists on lighting up again. Maybe that's why you've experienced pain that seems disproportionate. Intense relationships, deep disappointments, cycles that end abruptly, but lead you to rebuild yourself in a way that other people wouldn't understand. This is not weakness. This is a spiritual rite of passage. Scorpio is the sign of regeneration, the phoenix, the serpent that sheds its skin, the scorpion that defends itself until the end. And Cayce saw this not just as an astrological characteristic, but as a spiritual mark left on the soul of someone who has a mission that involves transmuting pain into wisdom, loss into strength, chaos into light. And no matter how much the world tries to convince you that you are too difficult, too intense, too quiet, The truth is that your soul is processing truths that most people haven't even had the courage to see yet. This is what makes Scorpio so misunderstood and so powerful. And this is also why, according to Cayce, Scorpio energy defies the laws of the zodiac, because it is connected not only to the astral plane, but to a much deeper spiritual plane, where the battles are invisible but real. How many times have you felt like you predicted something before it happened, or that your dreams carried messages that were not just reflections of your mind, but of something bigger trying to communicate? Do you feel goosebumps for no reason? Capture hidden intentions without anyone needing to say a word? This is not paranoia, nor exaggeration. This is spiritual sensitivity. Scorpio is the sign of sharp intuition, of revealing silence, of the presence that speaks without saying. And that scares. It scares those who don't understand. It scares even those who feel it. But Cayce said that whoever was born with this energy was born to be a channel between planes, a conductor of cures that have not yet been revealed, an awakener of consciences, even at the cost of peace itself, because Scorpio's mission is not light. It never was. Carrying hidden truths, sensing betrayals, surviving ruptures. All of this is part of the spiritual training field that forms the guardians of transformation. You feel it. Deep down, he knows he's not just anyone, that your ups and downs are not random, that your pain has a code, and that your silence carries voices that not even you can explain. So, if up until now something inside you has started to pulse differently, know, this video is not just another astrological explanation. It is a mirror of your soul, a calling, a reminder of what you always knew but still didn't have the words to describe. And from now on, we're going to delve even deeper. Let's touch on points that may have never been said about Scorpio, not even in books. Because when Edgar Cayce spoke of this energy, he was accessing something that few dare to explore, the raw spiritual power that this sign carries and which, if well directed, can not only transform whoever feels it, but the entire environment around it. That's why, by the end of this video, you'll understand why you felt different your entire life, why love has always been so intense, why the losses hurt so much, why are you silent but never forget, and mainly, why you were tagged, marked with zodiac-defying energy, the energy of transmutation, the energy of spiritual choice. And now, before we continue, I want to invite you to be part of this silent but powerful ritual. If everything you've heard so far makes sense, leave your presence registered in the comments. Write, "I carry this energy," or "I accept my Scorpio essence." These words are not just loose phrases. They are spiritual seals, signs that you are no longer in denial. What are you ready to remember, ready to take on your mission? And if you haven't left your like yet, do so now. This shows the universe and YouTube that this message needs to reach those who also carry this seal. Subscribe to the channel to continue your journey, because what comes next will change even more everything you thought you knew about yourself. From a very early age, even when words were not enough to describe what they felt, Scorpios already carried within themselves a strange, almost secret feeling that there was something different pulsing in their soul. It was as if the eyes saw more than what was visible, as if the silences said more than 1,000 voices, and as if each emotion was multiplied, intense, raw, impossible to disguise. And the most curious thing is that, even without understanding, they always knew that this was not weakness. It was something bigger, a type of silent wisdom that no one taught, but that was already there, imprinted in the spirit. It's as if the Scorpio man was called before he was even born, as if there was a mission underway from the first breath of life. But instead of receiving answers, these beings received trials. Instead of comfort, they were given over to the necessary discomfort of transformation. Scorpio feels too much because they need to cross more than others. It is tested, injured, put to the test, because it was born to support healing codes that do not reveal themselves without pain. Cayce said that suffering is not punishment, but a sacred training for those chosen to guide others through darkness. How many times have you missed someone's intentions without a single word being said? How many times did you have to shut up, even though you knew your intuition was shouting uncomfortable truths? This is no coincidence. This is part of the Scorpio spiritual calling. This call does not manifest itself in a spectacular way, but subtly, between the lines of life, in the moments when the heart tightens without explanation. Ion, in the moments when an invisible presence pulls you inside, forcing a reflection that has no end, and you feel, even without proof, that something bigger is in motion. Scorpio is not just a sign with strong characteristics. It is a living symbol of transmutation. It represents the deep journey into the underworld of the human soul, where few have the courage to enter, and those who are born with this energy, or carry its strong influence in the astral chart, know this journey is lonely. Scorpio doesn't seek acceptance. It seeks truth, even if this truth isolates you, even if it comes wrapped in pain. Because Scorpios feel that behind every pain, there is a hidden code, information that needs to be decoded. He doesn't give up until he finds it. This is why this sign seems to have rebirths throughout life. Not just changes, but true symbolic deaths. Situations that force a deconstruction so profound that it would be impossible for many to bear. But Scorpio supports it, and after each fall, you come back stronger, more lucid, more connected with your spiritual essence. This is not a common overcoming. It is a mystical rebirth, like the serpent that sheds its skin, like the phoenix that is reborn from fire, like the scorpion that isolates itself in the desert, survives its own poison and continues. This force of regeneration does not come from the personality. It comes from the mission. Cayce believed that Scorpio is the guardian of portals between spiritual planes, that your soul carries keys that can open doors of healing, awakening, revelation. But this has a cost. Most Scorpios face cycles of emotional pain, unexpected losses, and remarkable betrayals. And all of this has a meaning. These pains are not accidents, they are activations. Each wound becomes a seal. Each tear awakens a new fragment of the wisdom that has been hidden within you. Because, contrary to what they say, Scorpio is not driven by the ego. It is driven by the soul. And the deeper he dives, the more he understands that he didn't come here to live a light life. It came to transform, provoke, heal, liberate. And this mission is not given to just anyone. It requires courage to cross yourself, to face our own abysses, to listen to what no one dares to say, to continue even when everything tells us to stop. The Scorpio soul is made up of codes of spiritual resistance. That's why you don't give up. That's why you feel more than you can explain. That's why everything in your life seems to have a different weight. But now, maybe, you're starting to understand why. This is not bad luck or exaggeration. It is a life led by something greater, something that Cayce saw in the Akashic Records, something that many hid in fear of the strength it carries. Because Scorpio is dangerous, not out of malice, but because it activates what is hidden, and not everyone is ready to see what is behind the veil. If you are here, still watching, still listening, it is because your soul recognizes this call. Maybe you don't have all the answers yet. Maybe you're still going through one of those dark cycles. But just being here is a sign that you are awakening. You are not alone. And now, I want to hear from you. If this content touched something inside you, if you felt that this message seemed to have been written for you, comment below. This pain has a purpose. Or simply write, I am the guardian of this energy. Your words are seals. They activate recognition. And if you haven't liked this video yet or forgot to, subscribe. Now is the time. Your spiritual journey must continue, and in the next few minutes we'll delve even deeper into Cayce's revelations and the real reason Scorpio was marked with a power that doesn't fit the rules of the ordinary world. According to Edgar Cayce, Scorpio is not a sign that can be fully understood from a human perspective. In fact, it does not just belong to the earthly plane. Its energy vibrates between worlds, walks between dimensions, carries codes that cross time, and manifest themselves in the form of intensity, intuition, and inner strength. For Cayce, who accessed the Akashic Records, a kind of spiritual bank of all souls and their destinies, Scorpios were among the oldest and most spiritually prepared. They bring with them memories of past existences, hidden experiences, and a sense of truth so strong that it often turns into pain. This pain, however, is not accidental. She is like a spiritual alarm, a constant call so that Scorpios don't forget who they are and what they came here to do. Cayce spoke of awake souls, Beings who, even living on the physical plane, are in constant tune with subtle realities, with vibrational fields invisible to ordinary eyes. And Scorpio is one of those drivers. That's why so many people of this sign feel as if they don't belong anywhere, as if you were here, but with your heart and the soul connected to something that has not yet been fully revealed. This is part of the prophecy that few have the courage to accept, because it implies spiritual responsibility. Scorpio's energy is not content with the surface. She wants to go to the heart of the mystery. You want to touch what is hidden. You want to decipher the language of dreams, understand the signs that come in the form of coincidence, déjà vu, premonition, and goosebumps. And Cayce said that when a Scorpio denies this calling, he becomes ill, emotionally, spiritually, even physically, because the body cannot handle repressing a power that was made to flow, to be channeled. Scorpios who resist their destiny live in constant internal conflict. But when you accept it, when you surrender to what you feel, you become a channel of transformation wherever you go. And this is where the true impact of Cayce's prophecy begins. Scorpio, when spiritually awakened, is capable of altering the vibration of entire environments. It can catalyze healing processes in other people, even without doing anything directly. His presence, his silence, his depth. Everything about him carries a frequency that reverberates in the collective unconscious. This is not cheap mysticism. It's a reality that many people live without even understanding it. Have you noticed how your presence affects others? How come some people move away for no reason and others come closer as if they were attracted by something they can't explain? This is your energy working. It's the Scorpio vibration activating unconscious memories in others, bringing about changes without saying a word. Cayce believed that these Scorpio souls had been prepared for many lifetimes for this specific time. They are souls who came to this plane with a mission linked to hidden truth, collective transmutation, the purification of the human soul through facing the shadow. Scorpio doesn't run away from the shadow, he enters it, and in doing so, it illuminates what was hidden. That's scary. This bothers you, but it is necessary, because without truth, there is no liberation. And Scorpios feel that their mission is linked to this process, even if unconsciously. This is why the traditional laws of the zodiac seem insufficient to explain this sign, because Scorpio carries a sacred and dangerous element, the ability to die and be reborn several times in a single existence, to rebuild yourself from the dust, the pain, the loss. Cayce said that each of these symbolic deaths releases a layer of spiritual consciousness, brings the soul closer to its divine origin, and prepares it to activate spiritual gifts that were sealed from other lives. Sharp intuition, premonitory dreams, magnetism, vision beyond the obvious. All of this manifests as part of this journey, and maybe you're feeling exactly that, as if your life were a sequence of spiritual initiations, as if each trauma had been a portal, each separation a disguised release, each pain an invitation to remember. Cayce saw this clearly. Scorpio is not just here to live, it is here to transform, to break cycles, to break familiar patterns, to end old karmas and open new paths for those who will come after. Your existence, even in silence, is already an act of healing, and this healing begins with recognizing your true nature. Because while you deny who you are, while you try to fit in, while you run away from the intensity you feel, you turn off your own light. Scorpio light is not obvious. It doesn't shine, it burns, and only those who have the courage to approach this flame are able to see what it reveals. Cayce didn't call it a gift, he called it a sacred burden, because with power comes responsibility. But it is not a responsibility to save the world. It's about remembering who you are, and in doing so, activate permission in others to do the same. If you're feeling something different right now, a warmth in your chest, an unexpected chill, an echo in your memories, know that it's not random. It's your vibrational field responding to a frequency that you recognize deep down. It's your soul saying, you are hearing the truth. And if this video took you this far, it's because there is more to be revealed. There are more layers to open. There are more codes to activate. But before that, I want you to leave your stamp here in the comments. Write, I vibrate between worlds, or my pain has a spiritual memory. If any phrase spoke to you, record it. This isn't just a comment, it's an acknowledgement. And if you haven't enjoyed it yet, do so now. And if you haven't signed up yet, be part of this journey. What comes next will illuminate what you've always felt but never knew how to name. The truth that few know, or that they prefer to ignore, is that Scorpio did not come into the world to follow the straight line that so many insist on following. It is not a sign of surface, of appearance, of conformity. Scorpio is, by nature, diving. It's the silence heat that screams, the look that pierces masks, the presence that bothers because it reveals. Inside a Scorpio, there isn't just a personality, there's a mystery. And this mystery has three forms: the animal that attacks when threatened, the serpent that sheds its skin and crawls in secret, and the phoenix that burns in fire and yet returns from its own ashes. No other sign carries these three archetypes within itself. No other sign is destined to die and be reborn so many times throughout its life. And these deaths are not just symbolic in the poetic sense, they are real, because Scorpios feel each end as if it were the end of the world, and experience each new beginning with the intensity of someone who knows they survived something that could have destroyed them. He doesn't just live, he transmutes. Turn your pain into strength, your loneliness into wisdom, your anger into healing. And he doesn't do it for the applause. He does it because it is in his nature. The animal in Scorpio represents instinct, the ability to protect yourself, to maintain control, to observe before acting. He senses his surroundings with surgical precision, scans energies, detects lies, notices nuances that others don't even notice. And it closes when something sounds false, when the vibration doesn't match, when the presence bothers. But that's just the first level, because after the animal comes the snake, and here everything changes. The snake is the symbol of hidden wisdom, of ancient knowledge, of the ability to strip away everything that no longer serves, even if it hurts. Scorpios know when. They need to abandon a skin, a pattern, a story. He knows when it's time to leave a version of himself behind. And even if it involves suffering, he continues. Because what guides Scorpio is not the desire for comfort, it is the desire for truth. The serpent on its journey represents this drive for regeneration, for conscious rebirth. That's why it's so common to see Scorpios going through phases of seclusion, profound silence, and disappearance. It's not an escape, it's process. They are shedding their skin. And then comes the culmination of the journey. The phoenix, the ultimate archetype, the representation of the Scorpio soul when awakening. The phoenix does not deny the fire, it surrenders to it. And from the fire she is reborn, stronger, clearer, wiser. When Scorpio activates this stage, they become unstoppable. He has died so many times, he has lost so many times, he has cried alone in so many corners that he no longer fears destruction, because he learned that there is always something on the other side, and with each fall he returns more aligned with his spiritual essence. But this trajectory is not light, it is not socially accepted, it's not comfortable. This is why Scorpio is judged, labeled, misunderstood. They say he is cold, vindictive, closed. But what few see is what lies behind this armor. Because Scorpios, when they love with an intensity that scares. When you trust, you give everything. When you suffer, you bleed inside, but you don't show. Ketsu, he keeps pain in silence, not out of weakness but out of protection, because he learned that not everyone is prepared for the weight he carries. And yet, despite all this, Scorpio carries on, with eyes that seem to carry the entire universe, with words that heal or cut, with a presence that transforms any environment. He's not here to adapt. You are here to bring about change, to break cycles, to expose truths that were hidden. And this mission, although often lonely, is sacred, because every awakened Scorpio is a living spark of transformation. It's someone who looks into the shadow and says, I see you, and I don't run away. This is why Scorpio energy does not fit traditional astrology patterns, because it is spiritual before being astrological. It is vibrational before it is behavioral. And each person who carries this sign, whether as sun, ascendant, moon, or in strategic points on the map, also carries the mark of the crossing, the brand of someone born to go further. Cayce knew this, and that's why he talked about Scorpio as one of the most spiritually prepared signs, even though the price of this preparation was high. Now I want you to notice something. Everything you've experienced so far, all the ups and downs, All the intense love, all the inexplicable losses, all the moments when you thought you couldn't handle it, are part of this path. There were no failures. There were internships. There were transformations. It was internal deaths that prepared you for what comes now. And if you're watching this far, it's because you feel, even without fully understanding, that this all resonates with your story, that you also carry this fire, this silence, this calling. So, if this content touched you on some deep level, if you saw yourself in these words, leave your truth in the comments. Write, "I am made of rebirths," or "I carry the fire of the phoenix." These phrases are not just symbolic. They are activators. They are confirmations that you recognize your journey. And if you haven't yet, if you liked this video, do it now. This helps this message reach more people who, like you, feel it, but haven't been able to name it yet. And sign up, because what comes next will reveal why Scorpio doesn't just defy the zodiac. It transcends. But be careful, because there is a crucial point that few have the courage to address. A point that is not usually romanticized in texts about Scorpio, but which is as real as it is dangerous. The Biu, curse of poorly channeled energy. Scorpio is without a doubt one of the most spiritually potent signs of the zodiac. But this power is neutral. She is not programmed to do good or bad. She just exists. And that's exactly where the risk lies. Because when this energy is denied, suffocated, ignored, or used unconsciously, it begins to turn against the bearer himself. The force that should be healing turns into poison. The gift becomes a burden. The mission turns into confusion. And the soul, instead of rising like the phoenix, drowns in its own ashes. Scorpios who run away from their own essence feel the effects of this on their body, mind, and relationships. A restlessness that doesn't go away. A constant feeling of emptiness, of displacement, of contained anger. You begin to attract destructive situations, repetitive cycles, people who reflect the darkest in you, not because you deserve to suffer, but because your energy needs to manifest itself in some way. And if not through the mission, it will be through chaos. Cayce said that when a being marked with transmutation energy does not fulfill its role, it becomes a prisoner of itself. And there is no greater pain than living a lifetime feeling like you betrayed yourself, that you left what was supposed to be sacred for later. And the truth is that Scorpio feels it when this happens. You know, even if you don't want to admit it, you realize that you have moved away from something essential, that he started to seek control outside when he should have been anchored inside, who began to manipulate to protect himself, who hurt before being hurt, who let anger take the place of intuition, who exchanged sacred silence for emotional coldness. And all of this creates a disconnection that gets worse over time, because when Scorpio moves away from its spiritual mission, the signs decrease, dreams stop talking, synchronicities stop happening. It is as if the angels that accompanied him silently moved away out of respect for his free will, not for punishment, but for energetic coherence. What was intuition turns into paranoia. What was empathy turns into distrust. What was magnetism becomes manipulation. And in this state, Scorpios no longer recognize themselves. He feels that something essential has been lost, that the soul is suffocated under layers of unexpressed pain, poorly digested resentments, denied truths. And at that point, many go into deep emotional breakdowns. They lose faith. They lose their way. They isolate themselves not out of wisdom, but out of fear. What should be a conscious dive turns into an unconscious drowning. And this is the part that hurts to say, but that needs to be said. Scorpio has a power that, if not understood, destroys from the inside out. It's like holding lightning in your hands. Either you learn to direct it, or it burns you. And make no mistake, this process doesn't happen all at once. It comes little by little, through small deviations that, accumulated, distance the being from its truth. And this departure from the spiritual mission can be so subtle that you don't even notice it. It starts when you stop listening to your intuition, when you accept situations that you know hurt you, just out of fear of loneliness, when you use your silence as punishment instead of protection, when you close your eyes to your own gifts, pretending you don't feel what you feel. Poorly channeled Scorpio energy also manifests itself in self-destructive behaviors, repetition of toxic patterns, attraction to intense and unbalanced relationships, tendency to guilt, obsessive control, self-sabotage, a constant search for something that alleviates the internal weight, but that never resolves the root cause. And the root is disconnection, in oblivion of the mission, in refusing to accept the call. Because assuming the calling often means giving up control. It means trusting the invisible. It means facing your own shadows without guarantees. And that scares. It's easier to say you don't believe it. That's not sure. That maybe it's just in the head, but you know it's not. Scorpio feels when the path is wrong. The body responds. Sleep changes. Breathing becomes short. Relationships become oppressive. The inner world begins to scream. And deep down you know you can't keep ignoring it. Because the more you deny it, the more life screams. And the screams come in the form of crises, losses, ruptures, anguish that seem to have no origin. But they do. This is all the soul trying to bring you back. Remind you of what you came here to do. And maybe this is your time to remember, to stop running, to look inside, of accept that you are not just anyone, that all this intensity has a reason. If you've come this far feeling like this message spoke directly to something you couldn't even put into words, then you're already coming back to yourself. And I want to invite you to write something in the comments that represents this recognition. It can be a simple phrase like, I no longer run away from my mission, or I am the phoenix even in the ashes. These phrases are more than words. They are return stamps, soul declarations. And if you haven't liked this video or subscribed yet, do so now. Because Scorpio's journey is just beginning, and the next step will reveal the deepest point of this energy, the hidden spiritual gift that only awakens when you decide to reconnect. And now, at this point in the journey, something begins to reveal itself not just with words but with vibration. Because there is a moment, and it is silent, when the soul recognizes the call, and when that happens, there is no turning back. You can't unsee what was seen. You can't go back to what was before. Scorpios, when they wake up, don't go back to sleep. He can even try, he can even pretend that he didn't feel it, that he didn't understand, that he doesn't fit into this path. But inside, everything has already been activated. And this type of spiritual activation does not respect timelines or logic. It is as if the soul has heard something it has been waiting for a long time, and now, finally, it can begin to move. It is at this exact moment that the power of ritual emerges. Not an external ritual, full of complicated formulas or difficult words, but an internal vibrational ritual that begins with a simple decision: accepting what you are, honor your essence, assuming what was always there but was hidden by fear, doubt, or external influence. And this ritual of spiritual confirmation is more necessary than ever, because we live in a time when everything pushes us outside of ourselves. They teach us to adapt, to remain silent, to mold ourselves to be accepted. But Scorpio didn't come to shape himself. He came to reveal. And this process begins when you say, clearly, that you accept this mission. It's not about identifying with a sign as a hobby. It's not about liking or disliking the characteristics they say about Scorpio. It's about feeling in your gut that you carry something that the world doesn't see. An ancestral spiritual energy, which does not bend to what is superficial. And that feeling, which burns in the center of your chest, needs a seal, a confirmation, something that says, yes, I understand. Yes, I remember. Yes, I accept. This seal does not need witnesses, but it vibrates, it spreads, it creates invisible waves that connect you to others who have also awakened. That's why it's so important to declare, not just listening to the video as a spectator, but as someone who participated, who responded, who said, I'm here. And perhaps you feel, as you listen to this, an urge to close your eyes for a moment, to breathe deeper, to allow this message to penetrate more intensely. Perhaps a memory will emerge. Maybe a shiver runs through your skin. Perhaps a feeling that something old is coming back to the surface. This is all part of it. You're not imagining it. This is real. This is energy moving, unlocking layers. This is your Scorpio essence telling you it is alive, which it always was, and now he no longer accepts being denied. Therefore, the ritual we propose here is not decorative, he is energetic. And the most direct way to activate it in this space is through the written word. Because when you write, you anchor. When you write, you declare. When you write, you transform the invisible into matter. And here, In this space, every comment has power, because it's not just about interaction, it's about vibration. It's about imprinting your presence on this spiritual field that we are building together, a field of healing, of recognition, of truth. So if you felt, and you don't need to explain what it was or understand exactly how, but if you felt that this video spoke directly to your soul, if there was a part of you that was touched, activated, rescued, write in the comments. Use these words as portals. Use them as stamps. Write, I carry this energy, or I accept my Scorpio essence. Write as someone who takes a stand, like someone who can no longer ignore what they know, as if to say, I remember who I am. Don't underestimate the power of a simple gesture when it's done with truth. These phrases are more than just beautiful words. They are confirmation codes. They trigger a shift within you, and at the same time, they create a force field with everyone who has also taken on this energy. Imagine hundreds, thousands of people leaving their declarations of belonging, their spiritual seals, in the comments. This is not about ego. It's about unity, about recognizing that you are part of something bigger, that your spiritual mission is not isolated, that there are others, like you, waking up. And each word written there is like a candle being lit on a collective altar, an invisible but powerful altar. And if by chance the words come in another way, more personal, more intimate, write them too. Maybe you want to say, I recognize my calling, or I feel the weight of my energy and choose to channel it consciously, or even, I no longer deny what I carry within me. The form doesn't matter. The intention matters. What cannot happen is that you feel all of this, vibrate with all of this, and let it pass in silence, because silence can protect, yes, but it can also imprison. And here, now, in this space you are inhabiting with me, the silence can be broken with a choice. Like this video, if it reminded you of something that was already in your mind, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now, because what we are building together goes far beyond a video. This is a portal, and he's still opening up. In the next step of our journey, we will descend even deeper into the spiritual layers of Scorpio energy and reveal what happens when that energy aligns with your highest purpose. Get ready, because the Phoenix didn't come to just be reborn. It came to set fire to everything that isn't true. Scorpio did not come into the world to be understood, and this is perhaps the greatest truth that few are ready to accept. Because the world, in its rush for labels, explanations, and predictable categories, constantly tries to decipher that which was not born to be revealed with common words. But Scorpio doesn't explain himself, he feels it. He crosses. It transforms. It penetrates invisible layers that most people don't even know they carry. And he does this not with speeches or demonstrations, but with presence, with silence, with vibrational intensity. Those who carry this energy are not here to adapt to structures. They are here to dissolve them, reinvent them, tear the veil, and make space for the truth. There is a Scorpio depth that is uncomfortable, and it's not for nothing, because the presence of someone who vibrates at this frequency reveals everything that is out of alignment. It shows, effortlessly, what is a facade, what is illusion, what is fear disguised as control. That's why so many people feel threatened by Scorpio, because he looks you in the eye and sees what was hidden. He feels what was left unsaid. He carries within him the shadow and the light, and is not afraid to enter the territory that many avoid. He transforms the world not with grandiose speeches, but with his very existence. But this force, so subtle and at the same time overwhelming, only fully reveals itself when it is recognized as a spiritual mission. When Scorpios, instead of trying to explain themselves or fit in, simply accept their role as a transmuter of consciousness, it then becomes a turning point, a soul that acts as a catalyst, that breaks cycles, that activates processes in others just by the way it vibrates. You don't need to say much. You don't need to prove anything. Your energy says it all. And for those who have eyes to see and a soul to feel, the presence of an awakened Scorpio is impossible to ignore. So if you're here, still watching, still feeling, still allowing each layer of this message to sink in, know that this isn't just a video. This is part of a process. It is a mirror of your soul reflecting truths that were perhaps sleeping, but never dead. And now that they have been touched, they ask for space. They ask for action. They ask for expression. You can no longer pretend that you don't carry this within yourself. It is no longer possible to put out the fire that the phoenix rekindled. This is the time to allow the spiritual mission that has always been yours to come to the surface with full force, even if no one understands, because you didn't come to be understood, remember? You came to transform, and transformation is not something that is done lightly all the time. Sometimes it burns, sometimes it tears, sometimes it puts an end to what seems safe, but always, always, it frees. And Scorpio, more than any other sign, carries the gift of liberation, not as an external master, but as someone who goes through his own pain, his own hell, and returns from there bringing keys. Keys that are useful for yourself, but that also open doors for others. And these doors are portals. Portals of healing, restart, rebirth. You feel that, don't you? This feeling that something has changed after everything that has been said, that there is something moving inside. Maybe it's subtle, maybe it's a memory, a shiver, a desire to breathe differently, deeper. Maybe you're thinking of someone right now, a Scorpio person, who was never understood but was always intense, deep, silent, someone who seems to carry an entire world inside. If that someone came to mind, maybe this video is exactly what they need. So share, because this knowledge, this message, this spiritual summons cannot be retained. It needs to be passed on, like a torch, like a wake-up code. And if you're a Scorpio, you already know. You felt it. It's marked. It's sealed. Now all you need to do is remember, accept, and walk with this awareness. No more masks, no more denial. The phoenix within you already understands what needs to be done. And if you're not a Scorpio but you feel like this energy touches something inside you, maybe it's present in deep points in your chart, or maybe you're surrounded by people who carry this frequency, and your soul is here to understand and embrace what they represent. And before you go, I want to propose one more action, a way to seal this experience with awareness. Leave your strongest impression in the comments. If you want to use keywords that we are already building together here in this vibrational field, write, "I am transformation in silence," or "My presence is already healing." And if, in some way, you felt that this message came as a response or as a reminder, say so. Share, because your truth could be the sign someone has been waiting for to awaken. And if you know someone from Scorpio, someone who needs to hear this, who needs to remember who they are, send them this video. Be a channel of revelation for those who need to be remembered. And now, if you are a Virgo, get ready. The next video reveals a gift hidden since birth, a mission that, for a long time, was silenced. But now, finally, it is ready to be activated. The journey continues, and we're just getting started. If you've stayed with me this far, it's because something inside you recognized this truth, and that already says a lot about your spiritual journey. Now is the time to take a further step. Subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that speaks directly to your soul. Here, each video is an activation portal, and you are part of it. If this message touched you on some level, leave your stamp in the comments with the phrase, "I am part of the transformation." This phrase is not just a comment, it is a spiritual confirmation of your presence on this path. And of course, leave your like now, because this helps this message reach other souls who, like you, are awakening and need to remember what they carry inside. And most importantly, the next video is already appearing on the left side of your screen. Click on it now. Your journey is not over yet. We meet there.